Hey guys, Mike here. So today's cult classic review is 1989's Sex, Lies and Videotape, starring James Spader as Graham and Andy McDowell as Anne. In Sex, Lies and Videotape, Anne's husband is cheating on her with her sister, and one of his friends is coming down to visit, and he has an unusual fetish that will change everything. And so we have Sex, Lies and Videotape. So guys, this is another movie in this series that before watching and reviewing it today, I had not seen it before, nor had I ever heard of this one. I didn't really look up anything about it, didn't know anyone who was going to be in this one. I just thought, yeah, this sounds like an interesting title, I wonder what this will be about. So, what did I think of Sex, Lies and Videotape? Well, I gotta be honest with you guys, this movie lost me very quickly. Right from the get-go, nothing about this screamed great dialogue or interesting characters. It all just kind of boiled down to watching a bunch of assholes screw each other over constantly. And maybe if these characters were a bit more interesting, or if the whole film itself was a bit funnier, I might have been on board with this. But I gotta say that these performances are just super weak. Now, the four leads in this movie are pretty decent actors. I've seen them be good in other things, but in Sex, Lies and Videotapes, none of them really offer anything that's worth paying attention to. They all just really come across as really monotone, really bland, and just really whiny as well. I mean, you just don't root for these characters in the slightest. They'll be complaining about their lives, saying, oh, this isn't going right for me, oh, I'm not getting this my way, and it's just like, well, why should you? You're just a terrible person, and the reason these things are happening to you is because you are a terrible person. Now, don't get me wrong, I do see the appeal of this film, because on the surface, this is a really interesting story. It explores things about what it means to be truly happy, what love is, and it explores sexuality in individually interesting ways. And I do think these are the things that the film does quite well, because while the characters themselves aren't really all that interesting, exploring what makes these characters tick and what their sexual preferences are was actually fairly interesting. The only problem is it's not really exactly presented in an interesting way that makes me want to find out what happens next. Really, I got about 20 minutes into this film and I already wanted to turn it off. Nothing about Sex, Lies and Videotape was screaming, I must find out what happens next. Basically, it was just screaming at me, when can I turn this one off? Though I do tell you, there was one part of the story that I did find quite interesting and I really did want to see how it played out. Because the main thing that happens in this is that Anne's husband is having an affair with her sister. And the movie's constantly placing these little clues that makes Anne finally figure out that her husband is having an affair. And I did think it was quite fun hearing these little details that will become relevant later to have Anne finally find out that her husband is having an affair. But when the affair finally is out on the table, I thought they really could have done a better job to make this scene more impactful. They could have had a bit more of a back and forth with neither one giving ground until eventually something slips and then it's all out in the open. But instead it all just kind of boils down to, I want a divorce. Why? I want a divorce. Why? You're having an affair. I'm angry, I'm gonna go kick that guy's ass. But having said that though, I think the way they did do it did really match the rest of the tone of the film. And then the conclusion to Sex, Lies and Videotape just made me go, really? At the same time, I was relieved that this film was over, but I was just sitting there just like, really? That's the ending you're going with? Okay, movie, you're the movie. So guys, would I consider Sex, Lies and Videotape a personal cult classic, and would I recommend that you guys should see it? I would not consider this movie a personal cult classic in the slightest. I didn't like any of the characters, I didn't find most of what they were going through very interesting, it was powerfully unfunny, and I really just wanted to turn this one off as soon as possible. The only reason I didn't turn this one off is so I could give an honest and fair review like I do all my other movies. But honestly, if I didn't plan on reviewing this one, I would have turned this off within the first 10 to 15 minutes. So in short, I would not consider this one a personal cult classic. But would I recommend that you guys should see it? No, again, I would not recommend that you guys should see this one. Though I do understand how people can enjoy this one. On the surface, it can seem like an interesting exploration of sexuality and different relationships between different people. The only problem is, the way it's executed is just so horribly bland and boring that you just can't really care about any of that stuff. So in short, I get the appeal, I just didn't really like this one all that much. Okay guys, that's my cult classic review of Sex, Lies and Videotape. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Whatever you think, drop it in the comments below. Until next time, I've been Michael. See ya!